Now, what programs would I be willing to cut with the debt or deficit to reduce it? I voted 2 weeks ago against the president's budget, and the reason I voted no was because it was a one-year budget as opposed to a 5-year. I think it's important to provide stability and consistency and allow the market to plan. I did support the Blue Dog budget that Charlie referenced earlier. Essentially, it provided for a 2% annual cut in non-defense spending for 3 years, and then a freeze on all increases for 2 years after that. I think that will go a long way in getting us back on track. But I think just talking about cutting spending, again, is oversimplifying the problem. The best way to reduce the deficit and the debt is to bring jobs back into the economy. That will enhance and increase revenues, and all of us will benefit as a result. Finally, Senator Gibbs keeps talking about raising taxes. Well, if you make more than $250,000 a year, then that's a legitimate argument to make. But if you make less than that, where 95% of the American public is, we've lowered taxes since we came in. So that, coupled with the comment about his desire to return to supply side and allow the market to handle all this, tells me that the solution for Mr. Gibbs is the philosophy that got us into this mess. And that is, take care of the rich, the very richest in our society, the multinational corporations, and everything will be fine. It doesn't work that way. Now, I like to think of myself as a moderate. My voting record confirms that I'm a moderate. And I firmly believe that the dangers associated with not enough government regulation are matched by the dangers associated with too much. We need to find that fine line between allowing free enterprise to thrive, yet making sure that we're creating a system that's fair and equitable to everybody. I just don't think returning to the 8 years of Bush-Cheney and the 12 years of the Republican Congress that preceded this recession is the answer to our problem.
Congressman talks about tax increases, or tax cuts, I guess, for the rich. I find it interesting. I have a document here dated April 14, 2010. There's been $670 billion in counting of new taxes. 14 of those tax hikes, totaling over $316 billion, are in middle-class families. Voting for the cap and trade, that's at least a $200 billion cost to families, or equivalent of 15% personal income tax. You voted for the fiscal year 09 budget blueprint that would raise $694 billion in taxes, according to the Associated Press on March 13, 2008. He says he voted against the health care bill, but he did vote for the health care bill in the House, 3962, that has all kinds of employer mandates, excise taxes on there, increases additional tax on non-qualified health insurance, health savings account distributions, and just a whole host of things. You know what? In this campaign, where I'm struggling is trying to keep up with all the tax increases they're passing in Congress. It's just a struggle to keep up with it. I sit down and go through it, and there's just more and more and more. And I just find it incredible that they say that the tax cuts for the rich, when I think it's about 11% of the people in this country pay about 70% of the taxes in this country. You need to. Here's another point I'd like to make. A lot of our small and medium-sized businesses are limited liability companies or S corps or partnerships. And those businesses, they play in the personal income tax forms. And, some of those businesses, let's say if you're a business and you're a small business person and you made $200,000 and you're not married. They're saying that you're not middle class. You hired a lot of middle class people and got people working for you. And the reason we need to not raise the tax burden but lower the tax burden is we've got businesses out there, like I said, that are ready to expand their businesses. I was just in a business person this last week in Dover, and he says he's ready to invest $1 million and create about 20 more jobs, but he's afraid to do it, and he didn't have to borrow money to do it. So tax cuts would be great to help those businesses. And
Thank you. Let's see. First of all, small businesses have been the beneficiary of the tax cuts over the last 2 years, not those who are bearing a greater burden. But the only people that have been negatively affected by tax policy changes in terms of having to pay more taxes are big, large, multinational corporations and the wealthiest people in the country. We have taken things away like loopholes that encourage manufacturers to offshore jobs. Those are the kind of tax increases we've been submitting. If you have a small business, you've not seen your taxes go up. In fact, a third of the stimulus bill, the American Recovery Act, went toward tax relief for small businessmen and individuals. Mr. Gibbs references a cap and trade bill that's not law. He references a health care bill I didn't vote for as proof. And I find it frankly incredible, coming from someone who voted for the largest tax increase in Ohio state history. So, that was okay because that didn't impose an enormous burden on big companies. It posed a large burden on consumers, people like you and me. That's okay for tax increases. A 20% increase in the sales tax, which affects working people, men and women, more than anybody else, that's okay. But don't tax the very richest in society. You're going to ruin our economy. I've got a problem with that.